Okay, Assalamu alaikum and good day, everyone. I'm Dr. Maythem, a university academician. Today on Human and Technology, we are conducting a forum under the title of Technology Effects on Nowadays Education, Educators, and Students. The forum's panel consists of 3 academicians, including myself as a moderator. Each of the panel's member has different background and working at different country. So let me introduce our guest today, starting with Dr. Nagham Saeed, an academician from London, the United Kingdom, with the background of electrical and electronics engineering. So welcome, Dr. Nagham, and thank you for joining us today. And we have as well with us Prof. Dr. Hedef El-Yassin, an academician from Baghdad, Iraq. Prof. Hedef comes from clinical biochemical background. So welcome, Prof. Hedef, and thank you for being with us today. Nowadays, technology is playing a large role in many aspects of our daily life, such as entertainment, education, social life, and even we can have our own electronic mates or assistants to help us in managing our daily events. Technology is swiftly changing the ways how students learn and how instructors teach. Computers and projectors have replaced chalkboards, and it's not just happening in higher education. Technology is part of every level of education nowadays, even kindergarten. So for both of Dr. Nagham and Prof. Hedef, I hope to know your opinions about the mentioned matter and how true it is according to your observation and experience. So who wants to start first, please?
Okay, I'll start first. Thank you very much, Dr. Maythem, for inviting us for this interesting episode. We are very pleased to be part of this interesting session. I would like first to introduce myself to the audience. I'm Dr. Nagham Saeed. I was awarded my PhD and my master degree from the University of Technology in Iraq. I've got Bachelor of Engineering degree in Computer and Control Engineering in 1992. My master degree in Mechatronics was in 1999. In 2011, I finished my PhD degree in Wireless Network and Communication from Brunel University. Since 1992, I have been working, teaching, and researching in the field of electrical and electronic engineering. I've got 7 years of industry experience in the field, but also more than 15 years as a teaching member in different colleges and university. Also, I've been a member of professional bodies, such as a fellow of academic in higher education in UK, member of the Institution of Electrical and Electronic Engineering. I'm also a member in IEEE Women in Engineering, alongside other research groups. Also, I'm external examiner in one of the universities in the UK. I published a respectful number of high quality publication in engineering, big data analysis, and education. Also, I'm interested in machine learning, and I'm a reviewer in many international journals. You ask about the level of the students that we are teaching. I teach actually through my teaching experience. I taught electrical and electronic subjects to all different levels, from foundation levels, which is equivalent to secondary and high school, to postgraduate level. So I taught also undergraduate, which is a level 4 basic general information foundation, and level 5, which is more course oriented, include more course oriented subjects, and level 6, which is advanced and specialized subjects. Also, I co-supervised master and PhD students. Of course, technology is playing a big part in teaching my core module to engineering students. I try to provide them with many essential engineering skills with the support of technology. For example, utilizing programming and simulation, so that all can happen with technology. For example, I use many professional software packages to support my teaching and my assessment, such as OCAD, MATLAB, Multisim, LabVIEW, National Instrument. Additionally, also I use practical educational and teaching boards, which are designed specifically for education. And to convey the concept, such as I give example, for example, power system, electronic or control boards. So these are specialized boards which can help us to deliver the concept. So therefore, technology is, I agree with you, technology is an essential supporting tool for me to deliver my modules and for learners to reach a better understanding of the concept. The technology provides the data required for analysis, and most of the time the data is presented visually. So it's very easy for the students to understand the relation between data. It is a powerful tool which completes the mathematical analysis. Done.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Nagham, for your opinion. So now I would like to pass to Prof. Hedef. So please.
Thank you, Dr. Maythem. Thank you for inviting me to this episode, and thank you for this opportunity to discuss the matter that we are discussing. My name is Professor Dr. Hedef El-Yassin. I am the head of the Department of Biochemistry at the College of Medicine in one of the universities in Iraq. And I have a background in clinical biochemical sciences. I have an MSc, PhD, and a postdoctorate in clinical biochemistry, subspecializing in hormones. I have been a member of the teaching staff since 1999. And besides my teaching duties, I've also published more than 80 research articles around the world in the field of clinical biochemistry and in Europe and in Iraq. Aside of that, I'm a member of the Society for Endocrinology, located in Bristol, and a charter chemist and also a fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry, which is located in London. I'm also an external examiner in many of the colleges of medicine around Iraq. And I also teach postgraduates, MSc students, PhD students, and board. According to my opinion about technology, till the last decade, we used to depend mainly on the old-fashioned system, giving lectures in large halls. Of course, technology is there always, providing us with necessary tools and for the presentations, for example, our data show presentations, presentation of lectures. However, in the past couple of years, the demand to technology has been reaching its peak, and especially because we have changed our curriculum from the old school to the integrated system. So we needed more and more gadgets and more applications of technology to apply our new system. Of course, needless to say, the drastic turn in using technology nowadays and the pandemic and how it's affecting all our lives. Technology is now 100%. We are depending on technology now 100% in our teaching and assessment of students.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Hedef. I think we can move to the next question here. You mentioned that the students use technology in class, as lecturers do. So let's focus on students, actually. What kind of technologies they deploy in their classes?
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Maythem. I think our students, they enjoy using gadget to learn. For example, they use their tablets to write their notes. So they write their notes over the downloaded PowerPoint, my presentation. So they download my presentation, and then with their tablets, they kind of highlight the important parts, or they add some equations. So they kind of enjoy it as a way of interaction while I'm teaching the subject. Some, they use their smartphones to Google unknown information that maybe happen, they don't know about it. So while I'm talking about the specific terminology they are not aware of, so they use their smartphone to kind of confirm the information, or if they don't know about it, they kind of find it out. Also, they use it for a quick quiz. So in their lesson, if I'm kind of trying to do a very quick assessment, they can use their smartphone for poll, for example, for everywhere, for quick quiz, and they really enjoy it because it's showing immediately the result, and they can see the result in front of them in a second for the whole group. So they will answer, their answer will be there on the board after they send it immediately. They download on their PC professional software for simulation and analysis. They need it for their design, and also they need to write their assignment with a specialized software, for example, Microsoft. So they use all these software and gadgets to help them to develop and do well in their course. Also, for group and individual presentations, students, they prefer to use PowerPoint presentation. they, as I mentioned before, the students, they enjoy interacting with technology to learn a new subject. They prefer to rely on technology to find learning materials such as ebooks, website, and YouTube. To be honest, students, they prefer to read ebooks than going to the library and search for a book like before. They prefer to have their resources online, and they don't want to go through the hustle to go to the library and borrow the books. Then they need to return it, and our students, they forget to return it back, and then they find them. So they prefer this idea of the ebook. Also, they rely on technology to complete their assessment. There are many interactive platforms they can use, for example, Moodle or Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. That's also a very good platform for us to interact, especially through this pandemic time. We rely on Blackboard for announcement to announce any changes in the lesson or what's going to happen next week. So to just really to communicate, there are also forums and discussion boards to interact with the students. They were very helpful through this time while everything went online. Also, these platforms, they enable the students to see learning material. They can listen to the recording because they will enable there is a part there where the lesson can be recorded, so they can listen to their lectures in their own time, and they can do activities in their own time from their PC or their smartphone. Also, they can submit their assignment through these platforms. So I can confirm that lessons which utilize technology, they increase students' engagement in the lesson. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nagham. So I would pass to Prof. Hedef.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maythem. Well, I totally agree with Dr. Nagham. I think she covered everything that I wanted to say. The same as in our college, students also depend on their gadgets, mainly their smartphones and their tablets to download the lectures, pre-download the data show presentations of the lectures, and they write their notes on them, they highlight important information, they Google missed information. They highly depend on technology in their study. They record the lectures as presented and they listen to them afterwards. It will answer some questions that they have. They recall the information that was said by the professor. And so it's a really great tool for the students. I think also our students use technology such as or media, like for example WhatsApp or Telegram, to make group studies, to exchange information, to discuss lectures, to discuss stuff among them. So they have great use of technology, and they are making the best of it. And they are doing well. They also download, as Dr. Nagham said, ebooks. They find it very easier for them because the internet has a collection of ebooks that are recently published. They cannot find them in the library here. So it's more convenient downloading the book and writing their notes on it. So yes, technology here is better universities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Hedef. So actually, I do agree with both of you regarding the technology. As I'm teaching IT programs or computer science programs, I see our students, in fact, they really love engaging with the class using gadgets. There are various gadgets, as we know, but the most famous is the phone or tablets. So I always try to make my plan of teaching the classes deploying these applications of these phones or tablets. Like, for example, I programming. Then I will not just depend on slides and the main coding platform, but I will use a live coding platform, Ripple.it. This platform, in fact, it really encourages the student to collaborate to do one piece of code. Yeah. So one of them, for example, update the code. The others will see what that update is. Well, but that anyway, it's only in IT or computer science programs. Cannot be implemented in other or many others other programs. In addition to that, I found that students, they are just like grown children. Yeah, well, so they love to have fun. So the quizzes, when you say in class, it's quiz time, everybody like, oh my God, it's quiz time. But when we say it's Kahoot time, well, everybody, yes, this is that fun time. Actually, in both cases, it's a quiz, but they still love to have that kind of fun. So it's one of the technology. By the way, yeah, this is what I'm trying to do always. I don't just use Kahoot all the time. I try to use various platforms. So one of them Kahoot, the other maybe next time I will use quizzes. I'm trying to use even sometimes Google Forms like as quiz, or I create something called the speedy quiz, which is basically PowerPoint, a timed PowerPoint slide, which will change the question after 30 seconds, and there is a timer there. So they will feel like some kind of different platforms being deployed. They don't feel bored, always Kahoot over and over. In addition to that, students, they love to be heard, as everyone, I think, do. So I always deploy polls. I create polls in classes to have opinion. So it's not just I ask, what's your opinion, and raise your hand. Especially nowadays, we are in pandemic situation, so most of our classes are online. It will not work to say, please open your cameras and raise your hand if you agree or disagree. Yeah. So instead of that, I just create a poll, and that poll will help the student to give their opinion. Actually, there are many applications, especially phone applications, we can deploy in our classes. Yeah. But maybe some people would not agree. I don't agree to have 100% entertaining class. Sometimes some topics need to be a bit serious. Yeah, we need to say, okay, you know what? Forget everything, focus here. Yeah, this topic needs serious thinking, serious time. But I'm trying to not bore the students with the classic method or the too much technology as we do. But anyway, do technology play parts in our life nowadays? Yes, definitely. So passing to the next question, according to your observation, during the years of lecturing in various universities, how would you evaluate the students' interaction with technology during classes? So as I mentioned, we do actually use technology, right? And the students do use technology. So how would you evaluate their interaction during the classes? Like, for example, how much percent of them use technological methods to take their notes and to do their assignments? And what kind of technology they deploy nowadays? So maybe I can pass to Dr. Nagham. As you mentioned, like the percentage of them, is it all of them?
Yeah.
Or there are some people, maybe they don't like technology. There are people.
So,
You know what I mean?
yeah, so I will start by saying this. For the students to be able of progressing in the course, they have to use interactive platform like Moodle and Blackboard Collaborate Ultra because they need them to listen to the learning material, to have a look at the learning material, to use the discussion board and forums. Also, there are announcements there for them. There are recording there for them to help them in their assessment. So all that should happen. And at the end, also, they need to submit their work through these platforms. So actually, that just a way of interacting between the students and us. These technologies are providing, these platforms are providing the way for us. As I mentioned before, we are using the technology to help us in delivering our topics, and also for the students when they are working on their assessment. They are using specialized softwares and equipment to help them in the analysis. This is all beside the mathematical analysis that they do, like the traditional old way of using a mathematical analysis to discuss their results. Over to you, Doctor.
Okay, that's interesting, Dr. Nagham. Dr. Hedef, you want to add anything?
Well, I just want to add, according or in the field of assessment, less than a decade ago, we have changed our curriculum to the integrated system. And this required many updating in our teaching system in general. So we employed Moodle system and platform, and this opened a really wide gate for the students to discuss information with the teacher by the forms that is presented in the Moodle, and also to give their assignments or to or their homework. And so we use technology as an assessment tool in our system, but not very much until recently this year, when the whole system, the education system, has been turned into e-learning and e-learning platforms. Nowadays, no, lectures have been given either through Google Meet and Google Classroom, and all the assessments are also done through technology, through Google Forum and Google Quizzes. So we are using technology 100%, and our students are, let's say, they are benefiting from it. They are benefiting very much. As you said, as you and Dr. Nagham said, I think it's more fun for them because it's a new way, and it's a modern way for teaching process, and let's say not teaching, learning process. They are learning by themselves and enjoying the whole learning process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Prof. Thank you. You know, according to some psychologists, actually many of the psychologists have mentioned about this matter I'm going to talk about now. But lately there was one who have created some kind of an issue. He wrote an article on BBC saying that we are leading our children to be addicted to these technologies. I want to know more about it from you. Whether we are leading the students to be addicted to these technologies when we are asking them to deploy the technologies to take notes and for doing other course activities.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor. This is very interesting, and we can have a debate and for long hours about it. But just that's remind me how things were when it was my time to study in university, and the skill of taking notes. It was a big skill, and not every one of us we were able to take notes and focus with the lecturer while he or she teaching. And we kept getting also confused because the lecturers, when we are taking notes, they are telling us, no, this is very important. You stop taking notes. I will give you later a time to write notes. Just focus with me because this is very, very important. So first of all, we were not good in taking notes, and we spent very, very long time trying to look at other colleagues' notes to make sure our notes cover everything. Also, we were losing valuable time to listen to the lecture while he or she teaching, because we were trying to take notes and we are not focusing on what they are saying. And at the end, the time, it wasn't used efficiently. And also, I remember we had a very an excellent student who was really good with taking notes, and he used to also write good notes, and he will leave it in one of the printing room for us to go and grab our copy. So we used to do that at that time. But these days, students, I don't think they need to have this skill of being very quick in taking notes while the lecturer are teaching, because we are providing a lot of material, something that we didn't used to do. Our lecturers, they didn't used to do that before. They used just to come to the lesson and talk and leave, and that's it. Nothing for us to rely on. If we don't take notes, it's mean that's it. We don't have anything to rely on. But of course, there are books which they refer us to. But now, no, things are much different now. Many lecturers now, they're providing their own teaching material, they're providing ebooks, and the students, they don't need anymore. And also a lot of resources on websites and a lot of YouTubes. So students, they don't need to do this anymore. They lost this ability of being very quick in taking notes. It's not as essential as it was before. So for me, to wrap it up, I will always say that to be able of making the teaching material current, interesting, and up-to-date, technology should be involved. To be able of delivering and giving students better learning experience, and not only based on our teaching on mathematical analytics, technology should be also involved. To be able of providing industry-based scenario and case studies. Of course, it will be similar, but much simpler than the industry case. To the students, also technology should be involved. To be able of having a safe, maintainable, and affordable environment, technology is the most suitable solution. So that's all from me, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nagham. How about Dr. Hedef? What's your opinion?
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Maythem. Well, the question says, do you think that we are making the students to be addicted to some of these technologies? Well, in my opinion, no, I don't think so. They are already taking the lead in this matter. They are mastering technology and addicted to all kinds of social media. It's not our fault they are addicted. The generation all is just going towards technology. They are mastering all kinds of technology in the form of social media, search engines, everything concerning electronics and smartphones. Depending on their smartphones, their tablets, their gadgets. Long before e-learning, they are all depending on these on their gadgets that they have, and trying to show off their latest or updated version of their latest gadgets that might have a bigger storage or more space for them to store their notes and their ebooks. They write their lectures. I mentioned earlier, they write their lecture notes in these gadgets, and they Google any misinformation that they want to look for. They even do their research work, all of these gadgets and technology. As I mentioned, also they have earlier, they have what is known as study groups, virtual study groups to be more precise, in some applications such as WhatsApp or Telegram, and they do meetings. They discuss the lecture or discuss the session after it is given. They moderate it by themselves, and they manage to collect the information and answer questions. So they integrate all the information by themselves. So I think, in fact, we are not the ones that are leading them to be addicted to technology. They are the ones that they are forcing us to be addicted to technology by leading us towards e-learning and pushing us to use technology in order to fill the gap between us and them in the learning and teaching process. That's my opinion.
Okay, Prof, thank you. So until some extent, I do agree with you as well regarding this matter. You see, after all, I think if we are talking about university students, then they should be at the responsibility level. So they should be the ones who decide how much time they spend on using the gadgets and how much time they spend on a classical way of studying as well. But you know, from the experience of my children during the COVID-19 pandemic, I have one son, 5 years old. He's kindergarten, and now he got online classes. So you know, I just leave him for just some minutes. I see that he shut down the classes and he's playing games for hours. So that's the thing. So I think it's a matter of responsibility level of the user. Yeah, it's true that we are using technology, but these technology are used basically to deliver the topics or the context that we want to deliver to students in a better way. But still the students, they have to have their own time without gadgets, on paper and pen, using paper and pen. That's my opinion anyway. Let's hope that no one will get addicted to any kind of technology. But you know what? I read as well some psychologists who argued about this. They said addiction. They defined addiction as being kind of being stuck to do something harmful. Yeah, even though they know that this thing is harmful for them, but they still do it. Yeah, that's called addiction. This is how they argue. They said as long as education is not something harmful, then why not let them get stuck, not really addicted, but stuck to a technology as long as it's useful for them. Okay. If you were giving the full freedom to choose between teaching with paper and pen on one side and teaching using ICT on the other side to deploy in your classes, which side you will choose and why? So maybe we start with Dr. Nagham.
Very interesting. Again, very interesting question here. But remember, Doctor, through this pandemic, we lecturers and students, we learned many lessons. And one of them is appreciating the contribution of technology, which enabled the learning process to continue through the lockdown with live online meeting using different communication platforms such as Blackboard, Collaborate Ultra webinars, Teams, Zoom, and Google Meet. So technology is playing a big part in our teaching, but it's not entirely replacing pen and paper. In an engineering course, design, mathematical analysis, and solving a problem are essential skills which require pens, notebooks, and scientific calculator. In this case, it is much faster to the students to use all the traditional method than using technology. For example, Microsoft equation, it will take the students a very long time to write an equation using Microsoft equation. It's much easier for them to write it on pen and paper. For them to design something, it's much easier for them to do it on paper. But of course, when they submit their assignment, they will try to do at least the final design in a proper way with the gadget or with the technology. But again, paper and pen and scientific calculator, that's what we need from our engineering students. The other point, so until now, even we are asking the technology to be faster to help the students, because these are kind of weaknesses we found it in technology. They are not as good as we want them to be. Another point in the classroom and lab environment, this is also something very important for the students' engagement and understanding. Many students, they were highlighting the idea that they prefer the face-to-face sessions because they feel they engage more, they understand more. This interaction between them and their colleagues is a very valuable time. They like practical more than just purely online classes. These skills, lab environment, they will teach them essential skills which they need to learn, and then when they go out to work, they know how to use specific equipment and specialized equipment. So definitely not just pen and paper here, we are talking also teaching the practical skills. This online will not help in that matter. So, for example, there are many skills which students learn only by practicing and doing the practical work. For example, mounting components of a breadboard to build a closed loop, data collection, setting the measuring devices, calibration, I mean, connecting them right with the electronic circuit, fault finding, soldering, all these they need to learn them in person, and there will be a difference between one student and another. Of course, one of the popular jobs for those newly graduated from EEE is the testing engineer, which require purely practical skills. So again, we can't just use IT to deliver our course. We are using simulation in a way, but definitely practical skills, pen and paper and calculator, these are still essential things. Back to you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nagham. So now I pass over to Prof. Hedef.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maythem. Well, for me, for my personal opinion, it's much easier to use technology for the preparation of the lectures. It's a great time and effort saver than the paper and pen, definitely. However, this is for the preparation of lecture. The mode of delivery of the lecture is rather different. For me, it's easier, or it's not easier, rather than it's more convenient for me to deliver my lecture face-to-face to the students in a lecture hall, either as a large group session or even small group sessions. I want to see their facial expressions. I want to make eye contact with them. I want to see if I'm delivering the lecture, delivering the information, and how they are receiving the information from me. And I want to hear their questions as soon as they pop up to their heads. Using technology in the form of e-learning, although it's much easier for the student and for the lecturer to deliver through e-learning, but I think it lacks this communication, this important communication, because in my opinion, teaching is communication. If you don't communicate with the students in all levels, face-to-face, eye contact, and also in other levels, this is very important. So technology is important. We can't go back to the paper and pen, but it has its pros and cons for the lecturer and for the students.
Well said, Prof. Thank you so much. So now, let's assume an imaginary scenario, yeah? That all out of sudden, the technology does not work anymore, vanish from existence. How you think we and our students will cope with life? Will it be easy? And what do you think would happen to education with the lack of technology? So maybe I can pass to Dr. Nagham.
It's a very interesting scenario. it's really very hard for me to imagine this scenario because my course is all about technology. It's based on technology. I teach my students theories which produce some of the technology that we have today, such as broadbands and communications. So by not having technology, I don't know if my course will be as popular as it is now. I really rely on technology in assisting my teaching through educational panel and simulation software. If I take that part away, it's mean I have to base my teaching purely on mathematical analysis, as the case was in the past. I don't think that students will be too happy with this because really we are using technology not as a luxury, we are using it to deliver the content. Maybe we were lucky to use the technology in the right way to enable students to understand the concept, because I don't know if you know or not, but our area is a little bit very challenging, and it's not an easy area for the students to study. It's a very challenging course. So by using technology to help in that matter, that give them a better understanding and depth for the concept. That's all what I can say about this imaginary scenario. Back to you, Dr. Maythem.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nagham. How about you, Dr. Hedef? What do you think?
Well, in my case, in the medical field, we don't deliver technology as theories. We use them in our as tools. But I think it will also be our teaching processes will also be affected by technology. This is a very harsh scenario, and it will be very, very difficult and very hard to cope, because both of us, teachers and students, have already been adapted to technology in all aspects, not only in teaching process or the learning process, in all aspects of life. And so technology has provided both students and lecturers the tools that saved time and efforts for both of them. I think going back in time where there was no technology will be very difficult. I can't imagine it. And in some cases, even impossible. Because, as I said, we are all depending on technology in everything nowadays. However, let's say in one of the questions says, how do you think that it will affect education? I think education-wise, at first, education, it might fall on its feet, but I think it will rise up again without technology, because everyone here, people, are eager always to learn. And even without technology, they will find a way to grab information and to find the information and to look in books, and they will manage to find a way. But it's a hard scenario. I can't imagine it. It's just like a sci-fi movie. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so actually I can give my opinion about this matter as well. According to what I saw from my students, yeah, we most of the time we do coding. As I mentioned, I teach programming, yeah. So most of the time we teach programming on computers or laptops. Once I asked the students to shut down the computers, and we are having a quiz on paper. So they said, okay, no problem, let's do. After 10 minutes, everyone is like looking at me, sir, it's really difficult to do programming on paper. Then I said, no problem. It's difficult, I know. Then different class, I thought it's a matter really of programming only. Different class, we are doing, the students nowadays, when they do assignment, they just type on computer. But then I asked the students in a different class to do quiz as well, without using any keyboards, just handwritten. Seriously, it was very difficult, and most of them, they were doing like this, like, because they are writing by hand and they already not used to it anymore. Yeah. So this is like simplest example. So in my opinion, actually, it will be a bit challenging. It's not difficult and it's not impossible to revert back to the classic way of teaching and learning, but it will be a bit challenging for everyone. as the need makes the will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, doctor. We used to do this programming with paper, but we don't know that just we used to do that. It just kind of returning back to the old age. It just does, yeah,
Basic
just
plan.
kind of bring it back to the basic thing. Just we are moving forward. Just asking them to return back to pen and pencil just remind me of my old days when we were asked to write a program on paper. And when we do that, and then we give the answers while they are doing it on, they are using the software. It will show them immediately what mistake they are doing, and they can correct it, and they can get a better mark. So all
Correct.
these things, yeah.
Yeah, I do, but it's still, I think, yeah, in terms of programming, definitely is challenging. Definitely.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, even best programmers, like they will face the same challenge and even maybe worse.
And
Uh,
that's how they learn. That's how they progress. That's how they become better
Everything
programmers.
will be challenging. Everything will be challenging. As I
Yeah.
said, in teaching medicine also will be challenging. Although we don't depend mainly on technology, but we depend on technology very much. So everything will be challenging. All our lives, aspects of life, depends on technology nowadays. So it will be very challenging, very, very difficult. Just like nowadays, when we used to use pencil and pen, you are asking us to use sticks and clay to write our notes. It's not possible, but but
so, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, as well, I can give one example here. Happened to me once, and it was really challenging. These electronic phones, for some reason, suddenly they shut down. They cannot turn on. Uh, Maybe for battery, or maybe it's dead. The phone is dead, really. Uh, Seriously, I noticed that my life actually depending on it.
Yes.
Yes,
Bec-
yes, yes,
All
yes.
of
It happened to me also. Yeah, it happened to I lost all my
yeah,
passwords, I lost all my notes, I lost all everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's
I have
yeah.
meeting with students. If I want to set meeting, I use phone. If I want to set meeting with my boss, same. Friends, same. My wife asked me to bring list of things from market, same through
Yeah.
phone. So I found that, wow, like how did we live long time ago when there was no phones?
No, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But
we
at
are
Life
not.
was much more easier,
the
much more complicated.
Mm.
same time,
Mm.
I noticed something else as well, that we became very dependent on these technologies. Like for example, a long time ago, before I use mobile, uh, I used to memorize the phones of my family, my relatives, my friends. Now, if you ask me the phone of my wife, I don't know
The
because it's
same here. The same here. It's kind of it's showing the how we trust technology now, and this trust didn't happen easily. Things start to build up until we reach this level of trust. We are trusting technology to deliver, and actually technology delivered, and that's why we keep returning to it. Because I'm defending my area, and all what you can see what's built in on your computer, it's because of the triple E work. So yeah, technology, they did a good job, and they deserve the credit for it now.
yes, true. I do agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap up today's session, there are a few points we need to highlight, those we extracted from today's forum. Starting with that majority of people use technology to achieve various tasks in their daily lives. However, in education, different students, those studying different fields, might require different level of engagement with technology. Additionally, we lecturers should not be afraid to involve technology in our teaching activities. At the same time, we must not stuck to the deployment of technology at all the time. It is good to have technology beside us to assist us in doing our daily tasks. However, Nowadays, students and lecturers trust technology to the level that they became very much dependent on. Basically, they cannot achieve efficiently without its existence. Thus, from time to time, lecturers need to switch to the classical methods of teaching to keep the student in touch with the original ways of learning. In conclusion, taking in consideration the concerns about being addicted to technology, while it plays an important role in our daily lives and education, we as lecturers and students need to make responsible decisions. Those can improve our learning experience as students and our teaching experience as lecturers. After all, the responsibility relies equally on both lecturers and students to manage their lives and to accelerate up their teaching and learning abilities. So finally, I would like to thank both of Dr. Nagham and Prof. Hedef for being our guests on the Prof channel and enlighten us with their opinions regarding the episode topic. I really hope to see both of you in other episodes to discuss further topics. Ladies and gentlemen, we came to the end of our episode. Hope it was informative for all of you. See you in another episode of Human and Technology on the Prof with other topic, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.